Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Empire Total War with the Imperial Destroyer mod for what will be the last episode, as we are looking at the final battle to take Berlin. Is sort of a three-part stage thing where we've slowly whittled down about 31 or 32,000 Prussian troops that were stationed in the Brandenburg region. And this is the last one. I was actually hoping to conduct... Well, this is actually better than conducting a siege, because sieges are kind of horrible. So it's going to be a field battle, and it's going to be a field battle because the Prussians decide to recruit a single howitzer and then send it out to attack one of my full stacks. They attacked... Interestingly enough, they didn't attack my veteran full stack, which has been cut about down to half in terms of numbers. So they could actually have done quite a bit of serious damage to this one, especially since the enemy has a lot of these dragoons. But with that said, this will be the last battle, and then afterwards it'll be an easy out to resolve and take Berlin, Brandenburg, and that will be it for the campaign, because I will have complete control over the Baltic, if you don't count the little tiny piece that Hanover controls. That little strip of land that they have. So yeah, let's go ahead and fight this battle, shall we? And so, yet again, we have arrived on the battlefield. We've got quite a nice hill over there that we could set up troops. But first and foremost, I want to advance on the Prussians quite readily, because, well, they've only got a howitzer. And, yeah, let's go ahead and destroy that and then have free movement over the field. We'll see where the... I kind of want to set up around this house, but at the same time this is a very nice hill to set up around. Although it has forest on this side. I'm not entirely sure where the Prussian reinforcements will turn up, but I imagine they will come from behind where the artillery is placed, so somewhere back here is where they'll turn up. Without further ado anyways, let's go ahead and start this. So there's the... Ah, there they turn up. So we're going to move the cannons over there. We're going to move quite a bit of line infantry over there, or well, to be precise. Oh shit, wrong button, wrong button. No, stop, don't retreat. God, I pressed the wrong button. So I want all infantry to march that way. At the same time, all the Horsejägers will ride at speed to go ahead and subdue that that one howitzer, which is currently blasting away at my column. The officer doesn't care though. He knows victory is around the corner, so he's just going to march on. They actually just call themselves dragoons. Shoot them down before... Okay, so they're not... Hold your fire. And then if you two could turn around and prepare to fire on the dragoons. We should have an advantage over the dragoons, given that the mounted Jaegers have better accuracy. Right, since the enemy is coming out from right over there, there's no real point in continuing any further. And then we need to get line infantry up ahead to start blasting the enemy. I mean, it's 3 units of mounted Jaegers. They've got 50 accuracy. Yeah, there we go. Now when they... I guess they've a heightened reload. And that is what's causing some problem for them. Right, the artillery is set up. Let's start blast the enemy. And then we'll add on the line infantry. So we'll send these 2 over there, these 3. And then how about 1 unit in reserve, while these 4 units then will come on the right side of the house, the farmhouse. Right, the artillery has started blasting, but it's gonna blast our own men, so we don't like that. So we're gonna start to advance the infantry. The mounted Jaegers are slowly advancing, firing as they go. And blasting the dragoons away. Although receiving quite heavy fire as well. Right, I think that's enough for the artillery to actually be able to fire ahead or over the line infantry. And this line infantry unit has got... Oh, they still managed to... Well, if they're firing at this target right over here, then I can understand that they're hitting them. I'm pretty sure the center might even break out of just a really strong enemy charge. Oh, I thought this was the general, so I moved him over here, but this is not the general, this is the general. Why am I even having the line infantry on walk? Because there's no... like, you don't suffer any penalties for running. Okay, so line infantry is turned up. Okay, I want you guys to form line there. And then I want these 4 to form line there. And then we'll prepare to set up and surround the enemy as they march in. We'll give them a little bit of leeway because this will be a boring battle as the last part. It is a 3-part thing though, so even though this is the last video, might not be super interesting. There seem to be missing these mounted Jaegers. I guess they're shooting into the hill. We need to move them. Oh! I shot bounds just behind the unit. Well, the Jaegers are about to give way. The Prussians do have quite a nice stone wall that sort of comes just at like a good angle here as they from their starting position. I like how they were about to actually destroy my mounted Jaegers, but then they just stopped firing at them, so they didn't end the they didn't finish the job, and that was what I was looking for to say. Move forward so you're able to take part in this as well. And then we'll have these advance further and stretch all the way to the end of the map. These 4 will advance as well. I'm not entirely sure. The cannons are... Oh, the cannons are not firing. I'll tell them just to fire right into the center there. They'll be able to fire through this opening right here. And I guess they were focusing on a unit that left the field, and that's why they stopped firing. Not entirely sure. Looks like the Prussian cavalry is trying to break through and get out before they are surrounded. Or at least they're trying to attack my cavalry at this point. So we might as well tell them to withdraw. So here's the great general has turned up. So the reinforcement army could be well on the way to... Oh! What are you doing up here? Oh yeah, I forgot I told him to move all the way up there. I was gonna really just move him a little bit so he was able to fire on the enemy. Rather than... Right, now he needs to be rescued. Kind of-ish, because... Well, not really, because he's... They lost a lot of men. But the enemy unit is retreating. Right, pull back. The enemy has positioned 2 cannons, actually 3 cannon units, but in total 5 cannons. And we've started some fighting over here. Probably should push up all the way to this. Oh, it's not a stone wall, it's a hedge. But the hedge might protect, might catch some bullets, possibly. I guess we can swing these guys in. Interestingly here with a like super green hedge in the middle of this snowy landscape. The enemy is no longer firing at this unit as I moved it forwards. Oh, that's because they are moving forward. You can see kind of how some bullets hit the wall here. So they are slightly protected by it. Although a bullet that's hitting the wall wouldn't really hit any Prussian soldiers anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter that much. Maybe I should bring the artillery forwards so I would be able to then fire canister at close range. We can now move these units all the way up to the next point, which is here, so they're able to fire down into this area. And then we'll hold fire with the cannons as these guys move up. And we can actually move the cannons forwards. And then we'll support this side by placing 2 units behind, above. This one is kind of failing, or is losing the amount of troops it has, so we'll retreat towards the house. And I think they should be able to fit, yes. And then we'll move the artillery forwards, probably to here, where we'll be able, once these guys move away, I could be able to fire from this location. And we'll take Rutger, or whatever it's called, move him closer to the fighting. We have completely surrounded the Prussians in their attempt to break out of the fort, which really isn't going well for them. Against such a superior force that we had, the only thing the Prussians would really be able to count upon was the fact that we would, I guess, some sort of diplomatic solution. Because there's no way they will be able to beat the... I mean, I have 4 full stacks on the way around them. And they have just 1 full stack, mostly made up of dragoons. Or they had mostly dragoons. I think we've, at this point, shot down most of the dragoons. And we can see here, since the Prussians are completely surrounded, it's not the best environment to advance into, and there's just bullets constantly hitting them and taking out soldiers everywhere. People are dying all over the place. I guess they're lost then. There is nothing left to be had by the enemy, except for this artillery. I will call a general bayonet charge in the direction of that cannon. Oh, they've switched to canister. But it's gonna be a little bit too late. Let's see about this one. What the hell did he fire? Suddenly the enemy is swarmed. This guy, as soon as the enemy hits, he's out of there. I'm not paid enough for this. And these guys, oh, give me the booty. Oh, that's gunpowder and stuff, you stupid bastards. They're trying to piggyback. And off the artillery train goes. And victory is achieved. Not a spectacular victory, but victory nonetheless. Let's go back to the campaign map, shall we? And here we have the statistics of the battle. The enemy deployed 3,600 men, out of which 1,200 survived. I lost 1,000 men, the enemy lost 2,450. So it leaves 1,226 men defending the castle at Berlin, which is, I mean, that's nothing. So, quick autosave, and they're gone. And not autosave, auto, you know what I mean. Anyways, I think, as we can see here, it was actually during their turn that they made the attack, so they still have a chance, I guess, to bring in like an allied nation or something to attack me. Say the Saxons could come into their aid, but I don't think they will. The Hanoverians could come into their aid, I don't think so. The armies up here could come into their aid, but I don't think that either, because they have just been, they've dug in here, and they haven't even raided the Danish countryside, which I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't do that, to kill off a few Danish people. Anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and jump through to the point where it's back to my turn, shall we? And there we have it, the end of a turn, and Prussia is about to fall. And at the same time as Prussia is about to fall, we have the rise of a new nation, the United States of America. A new nation has broken free from the shackles of imperialism and declared its independence. Do you recognize their sovereignty? They... oh, this area was the area the French took. Falmouth, Maine. So that's the area the French took, if you remember. I think in last episode we saw that... or maybe it was the Spanish. The Spanish took Maine and New England, and the French took New York. So, historically, Sweden was on the side of the Americans, mostly because they're at war with the Barbary state. I can't trade with them, most likely because their port is on fire. Oh, you know what? I was about to say they don't have a port. They do have a dockyard. Sweden was kind of on the side of the United States. They didn't really go into it fully, but we were sort of allied of an allied because we had good relationships. We had good relations with France, and we did send over an officer that became aide-de-camp to George Washington, I believe. Axel von Versen, I usually call him in English, von Fersen in Swedish, which sounds kind of weird because Färs is, well, let's not make this an episode about language. Let's make this an episode about killing off the Prussians. So, this army has actually been replenished at this point. And, I mean, I could go after these, but they're basically done for, so... We'll send the reinforcement army to destroy them. And then from basically all sides, the Prussians are completely surrounded. And they do have quite a lot of men, but it's a siege battle, so that's annoying. So I guess we'll just... Well, what I could do is I could combine all the cannons from different armies and just blast away at the fortress for quite a while. But that would just be dragging it out, I think. This is it. This is the end. Outro assault. Boom! So we deployed 13,000 men, which is roughly what I continuously have throughout the sort of the big campaign. I thought I would have more though, since I had 4 armies, but I guess we've taken losses to the point where it's only 13. Well, now it's 11,000, since we lost 1,500 taking the fort. But there, Prussia is gone. And a nation destroyed. Prussia lays in ruin as the Swedish Empire finally reaches his goal of completely, except this little part by Hanover, controlling completely the Baltic Sea. What is this? Yes. The general achieves a higher rank, says got lots and lots of stars. So basically, I thought, wait, wrong army. It's the one in the town. Yes, so basically was a Swedish guy was aide-de-camp, like this guy, right here, to George Washington. East Prussia recruited some troops. We're building some stuff here and there. And war declared. Barbary State, United States. United States, Barbary States. And Pirates, United States. Wait, the Pirates? Where's the Pirates? A new nation! Three Fires Confederacy. What? Oh, it's a native nation that's sprung out over there. America seems like... it's... oh, look at this. It really looks like England is losing grasp of the colonies in favor of the Spanish. This could be a time for the newly... I mean, in this timeline, this could be Sweden consolidating its hold here, and with sort of maybe peace reigning throughout the land, maybe they could be part of become a colonial empire. We already trade in imperialistic goods. All we need is some colonies. And oh, at the same time the Cherokee nation was destroyed. So England is slowly losing ground all over the place. What allies does England have? Austria, Hanover, Savoy, and Russia. Nothing really important. Which could mean war. Anyways, as I've said, this will be the last episode because I've reached my goal that I set for this campaign, which was to hold the Baltic as an inner sea. It started off, this campaign started off rather badly, or it started off with me doing that stupid thing we brought in Prussia early, which really hampered me in the beginning. But that sort of forced me to do such wonderful maneuvers as my attack on Norway, where we absolutely smashed the Danish armies. And also, we kind of historically correct, because in the Great Northern War, King Charles didn't really care for Finland, because even though, I mean, you always see, like, in the what's it called, the animated history thing, history whatever, you see they sort of focus on the victories of Sweden as they punch around and destroy the Polish and Russian armies back and forth over Poland, and the great victories all over the place. But at the same time as all of that was happening, Russia was slowly just gobbling up Finland part by part by part, till they actually occupied bigger parts of it, just like they did in my playthrough here, where they held at some points all the different smaller towns and had burnt them to a crisp. Luckily though, the Russians never got too far. They were never really able to pass through and get into Sweden. Yes, they actually did get some armies into Sweden, but it was never to the point where it was a worrying sign, as it were. We still have Russia out here. So I guess if people wanted more, there could be like extra episodes where I finalize the defeat of Swedish arch enemy Russia. We've already taken out Denmark, which would be really the other main adversary of Sweden. But that's it. I probably would have wished to have... I mean, the best situation would have been for me to actually be able to play that battle with... where I had 13 or 12,000 men against the Prussian army of 32,000, or play that in like one go to have that as sort of a huge battle as a final victory. Instead, we've got the victory spread over 3 videos, which, I mean, it worked also kind of, but it would have been nicer to have the bigger battle to just smash through everything. And yeah. With that said, oh yes, one thing is that I'm probably looking to, while I still have this mod installed, to do a small like battle series, and I'm looking to do 2 battles, because in this mod you can have England and Jacobite England on the same side. So I've sort of had this inkling to do the Battle of Culloden, and then also add on a battle where the Scottish tactic of the Highland Charge actually works, compared to Culloden Moor, where it don't work. So looking to do those 2 battles for a very short battle series. And at the same time, at this point, I probably already have posted videos of Napoleon Total War 3 8.1 version. I'm gonna start off by doing a Swedish battle, little known part of the Napoleonic Wars, where Sweden being part of all the coalitions against Napoleon, but at a certain point, well, in 1808 to 1809, there's a sort of an agreement between Napoleon and Russia that Russia is going to force Sweden to come into the continental system, which was the blockade. Sweden and Portugal was one of the 2 main sort of countries that broke the continental system and continued to trade with Britain, which brought in a lot of cash for Sweden. Obviously also there was a lot of contraband being smuggled directly to Germany, but it was kind of a thorn in the eye of Napoleon that Portugal and Sweden would continuously trade with England when he was trying to basically starve them out. So there was an agreement with Russia that Russia would attack then Sweden, because I mean, up until that point, Sweden and Russia had been part of more or less all the coalitions against Napoleon, so it was kind of a bit of a backstab, and most of the Swedish army was down in the south of Sweden, so around about here, protecting against a possible invasion, because Napoleon, of course, had gained Denmark as an ally, because the British, basically Denmark didn't want to pick a side kind of ish, obviously, because everything was going to crap all over the place. But they were kind of forced to pick a side, because the British were afraid that Napoleon would seize the Danish navy, And so they thought, you know what, we'll go ahead and preempt this by taking the navy from Denmark, which led to the English sort of unprovoked attacking the Danish. There was a naval battle, and then they sieged Copenhagen, which is the first battle where they use rockets, the rocket artillery, which you can use in Napoleon, and they sort of torch a big part of Copenhagen, set it on fire. So sort of terrorize, breaking down, sort of forcing the Danish to give up by pressuring the populace by setting fire to all the houses and so forth, terrorizing them until the Danish have to surrender the navy to the British, which kind of gave Napoleon a moral victory, which he could sort of spread this. Oh, these evil English, they come here and attack the Danish. One baguette to Danish, and now you join me. So there was a threat of that. And yeah, so there wasn't too many troops in this part of Sweden, and yeah, we're gonna do the only battle map. They actually have a battle map specifically for this battle, I found out. And it's the sort of main turning point, because up until a point in the battle, there's kind of a bit back and forth. The Russians are pushing forwards through Swedish territory and so forth. But there is a possibility of Sweden sort of be able to turn the tide. But after this one battle, it's basically over for Finland, and Sweden is forced to retreat out of it. Right. Anyways, hopefully you enjoyed this series, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!